we are having, I'm profusely overjoyed to take this opportunity to introduce our Dr. J.S. Pandey sir, with whom from past 1 year continuously I am disturbing our J.S. Pandey sir ji. माफ करना sir मुझे. I am introducing Dr. J.S. Pandey sir, who is going to give this keynote address today. Dr. J.S. Pandey, who is retired as a Chief Scientist, Science Secretary and Head Climate Change and Skilling Division at CSIR, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, NERI, National Environment Engineering Research Institute. He has also been the professor and chairman of SCSIR. After completing his graduation, post-graduation, PhD from IIT Kharagpur, he joined NERI, Nagpur, India as scientist in 1987. At NERI, he has worked on over new and innovative concepts related to environmental management like temporal risk gradients, environmental water demands, ecosystem health, exposure risk assessment, etc. These issues have wider ramifications and linkages in terms of implications related with climate change and environmental pollution. He has been the recipient of the prestigious NERI's Best Scientist Award, known as NERI Foundation Day Award, 2 times consecutively. He is also the recipient of the following awards given by Bharatiya Rajbhasha Vikas Sansthan, Dehradun. Bharatendu Rajbhasha Sahitya Shiromani Award, December 2007. Rajbhasha Kirti Saman, October 2006, and Vishesh Rajbhasha Kirti Samman, October 2008. Earlier in 1996, he had received the first All India Award in the essay competition for Hindi writing and scientific and technical matters. As also Vignan Chinta Lake Mala Prakash Puraskar from CSIR in 1996. Presently, he is working on the application of some emerging areas like ecological and carbon footprints. He has published about 100 papers in international, national, journal, conferences, and seminars, and has written about 7 chapters for national and international books. As the first Science Secretary of NERI and the first coordinator of CSIR Climate Change Program, he has guided and motivated more than 200 students for their PhD and MTech degree program. He has also been the first warden of NERI's Research Scholar Home, member of NERI's Management Council several times, and the first member secretary of NERI's Regional Advisory Board for the Northern region. He has been the editor of NERI's magazine called Paryavaran Patrika and has written a book called Paryavaran Evam Parivesh, which has got him the highest Rajbhasha honor. He has also been the first coordinator of CSIR Global Climate Change Program, first core coordinator of the National Committee on Land Use and Cover Change under the International Biosphere Program, and a member of the Scientific Committee, Third International Workshop on Uncertainty in Greenhouse Gas Inventories, Ukraine 22-24 September 2010. He has visited many countries, including USA, Austria, Germany, and South Africa as invited speakers, as the chief guest, and the keynote speakers in many functions. He has motivated many colleges and school-going children towards the strong need for environmental conservation and consciousness. And sir, you are motivated us also. You are our role model also. We are following you from past. Desh Pandey, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank
sir.
you,
One minute. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Inayatullah. I hope you can hear me. Are
yes,
you
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I have kept you in the waiting wings for such a long time. You know, in a way, it's a blessing in disguise because earlier we were to meet on a different issue, but now this very important international issue called COVID-19 has come before us, and we are meeting on such a globally important issue today. I am also equally honored, as you are thankful to me that you have invited me and you have kept on inviting me despite my declining your offers several times. I'm really grateful to you. So let me start my keynote address. Our Honorable and dear Director, Dr. Rakesh Kumar, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University, Dr. Venugopal, Honorable Judge Shri Abhijit Deshmukh, who is the Member Secretary of DLSA Nagpur, Honorable Member Secretary of DLSA Mysore, Shri DP Devmaneji, and Honorable Judge Shri Shom Shekhar Badamiji, who is Member Secretary of Bangalore DLSA, Dr. H.N. Ramesh, Shri Hari Marar, Dr. Venugopal K.R., Dr. A.S. Ravi Kumar, and all the dignitaries. Some I can see on the gallery before me, some are not here, but I know because your friend and my friend in ethology, Mr. Tanveer Ashraf, told me that all over the globe we are being heard from here to USA. So I have to be careful in delivering the kind of keynote address which I am going to deliver now. And without wasting any time, I think, jump on my PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, sir.
Yes, go. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Is my presentation visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so my presentation is on the title of the presentation is Environment Friendly and Healthy Employment for Impecunious Section of the Society. I have deliberately put this word which will arouse some curiosity in your mind. Actually, impecunious is the word used for vulnerable sections of the society for which DLSA all across our nation is working. And recently we had this migrant related problems where Tanveer Ashraf Khan, in association with us, they have really done wonders for the shelter homes, on which I will speak in due course of time. Let me start with street disinfection, the causes and environmental concerns, because so many chemicals are being injected into the environment, sometimes deliberately, sometimes unknowingly, sometimes there is no alternative to that. That we have to look into all the environment and health related aspects and impacts of those chemicals. Stay inside, stay inspired. The COVID-19 pandemic that is sweeping across the globe imposes complex decision making, particularly in terms of health. We have to be very careful. Certain choices, notably containment, must be respected by all citizens in order to bring the pandemic to an end. However, many a time, quick decisions by some cities could be doing more harm to the environment than good. So we have to be careful there. The disinfection of streets and public places with chemical sprays has not yet proved its effectiveness in the fight against COVID-19. While its harmful effects on the environment are certain and some of them have started appearing. So the coronavirus pandemic has led to major changes for homes and businesses, including more frequent use of chemicals and disinfectants. While they do help, some can be dangerous to human health and the environment. That's the message Professor John Meeker, Senior Associate Dean for Research at the University of Michigan School of Public Health, has given. The main difference, we have to look into what are the roles of sanitizers and disinfectants. The main difference between sanitizers and disinfectants is that sanitizers reduce the number of germs on a surface, whereas disinfectants kill most of them. Sanitizers usually work faster than disinfectants, which can take up to 10 minutes to kill germs. The name hand sanitizer is a misnomer, since its main germ fighting ingredient is alcohol, which is a disinfectant. So many times, whatever is traveling around us in the news channel and all, we have to be very careful about the words which are being used and the implications they have. We need not really gulp down all the message which is being given by different news channels and the social media. Now, coming to the main differences between cleaner, sanitizer, disinfectant, virucide, and sterilant. Cleaner aids in soil removal. Simply, it aids in the removal of soil from a surface. Sanitizer reduces the number of bacteria, lowers the number of bacteria on surfaces to levels that are considered safe for public health organizations. Disinfectants, they kill fungi, bacteria, and viruses. Virucide, they kill viruses. And sterilant eliminate all fungi, bacteria, viruses, and spores. Now, when it comes to definition of various terms, there is no universally accepted definition of disinfectant. Basically, what is admitted in scientific jargon says minimum requirement is 3 log reduction of effective microorganisms, excluding spores. Then there are low-level disinfectant, intermediate levels, and high-level disinfectants. And sterilant does 6 log reduction of most resistant spores achieved at the half time of the regular cycle. Now, if we want to get really technical, the Environmental Protection Agency defines sanitizers as chemical products that can kill at least 99.9% of germs on hard surfaces. That percentage could go up to 99.99 of germs on surfaces used for food service. Disinfectants are again stronger. They kill 99.999% of germs on hard, non-porous surfaces or objects. Now, there are various health effects associated with different kind of disinfectants. And those health effects are mainly of the following kind. Mixing with ammonia, these bleached sodium hypochlorite, if they are by chance mixed with ammonia and ammonium quaternary compounds, other acidic products can create poisonous gases. They are corrosive to eyes and skin and a respiratory irritant. Then they are also suspected to be cardiovascular, gastrointestinal, or liver, kidney, central nervous system damaging, and they create respiratory, skin, or sense organ toxicity problems. Phenols are recognized carcinogens. They are suspected cardiovascular, developmental, neurological, reproductive, respiratory, skin, and sense organ toxicants. Likewise, most of the chemicals have various side effects. Actually, what is important is that they are applied in the doses which are either more in the doses more than the recommended doses or the less than the recommended doses. These side effects will appear more vigorously. Then there are many environmental impacts also associated with them. They're toxic to aquatic and terrestrial organisms. They're toxic to, they're considered as persistent bioaccumulative toxins by EPA. And there are disposal restrictions in many states, so they have to be carefully checked. The majority of products used for disinfection against COVID-19 contain the active ingredient quaternary ammonium. Others contain mixtures of hydrogen peroxide, peroxyacetic acid, isopropanol, ethanol, sodium hypochlorite, octanic acid, phenolic, triethylene glycol, L-lactic acid, glycolic acid, or dischloroisocyanurate dihydrate. Some of these compounds, particularly the most common quaternary ammonium and sodium hypochlorite, have been studied and shown to have negative health effects when used regularly. Longitudinal research has looked specifically at exposures to glutarialdehyde, bleach, hydrogen peroxide alcohol, and quaternary ammonium compounds. They are known in short as quats. All of these were associated with an increased risk of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease of between 24% to 32%. They also contribute to poor indoor air quality that can aggravate asthma in children. Quartz have also been shown to possibly cause fertility issues in men, and according to EPA, fetuses and very young children are particularly sensitive to the effects of toxic chemicals. In the US, researchers estimate that 5% of childhood cancer and 30% of childhood asthma are related to chemical exposures. Best practices for using chemical sanitizers when they are needed include rinsing items with water and drying them after the chemicals are applied according to the EPA. So there are various compounds, quaternary ammonium compounds, squats, chlorine compounds, alcohols, aldehydes, iodophores, phenolic compounds, and hydrogen peroxides, which can be used as disinfectants. So these disinfectants have recommended uses. Then there are scientific literature available and as to how they kill. They have advantages and disadvantages. Some of them I have already enumerated. Now there are some frequently asked questions related to the disinfectant application, and there already these questions have been answered by WHO. I will just give you a summary of how those questions have to be dealt with. Now, the first question is, what areas should be prioritized for disinfection in non-healthcare settings? Disinfection practices are important to reduce the potential for COVID-19 virus contamination in non-healthcare settings, such as in home, office, schools, gyms, publicly accessible buildings, faith-based community centers, markets, transportation, and business settings or restaurants. High-touch surfaces in these non-healthcare settings should be identified for priority disinfection, such as door and window handles, kitchen and food preparation areas, countertops, bathroom surfaces, toilets and taps, touch screen personal devices, personal computer, keyboards, and work surfaces. The second question is, which surface disinfectants are effective in non-healthcare setting environments? In non-healthcare settings, sodium hypochlorite, that is bleach chlorine, may be used at a recommended concentration of 0.1% or 1000 ppm, 1 part of 5% strength, household bleach to 49 parts of water. Alcohol at 70 to 90% can also be used for surface disinfection. Surfaces must be cleaned with water and soap or a detergent first to remove dirt, followed by disinfection. Cleaning should always start from the least soiled area to the most soiled in order to not spread the dirt to areas that are less soiled. All disinfectant solutions should be stored in opaque containers in a well-ventilated covered area that is not exposed to direct sunlight, and ideally should be freshly prepared every day when it has to be used and applied. In indoor spaces, routine application of disinfectants to surfaces via spraying is not recommended for COVID-19. If disinfectants are to be applied at all, these should be via a cloth or wipe which is soaked in the disinfectant, not by spraying. Now, what protection measures should people take when using disinfectants? The disinfectant and its concentration should be carefully selected to avoid damaging surfaces and to avoid or minimize toxic effects on household members or users of public spaces. Avoid combining disinfectants such as bleach and ammonia, since mixtures can cause respiratory irritation and release potentially fatal gases. Keep children, pets, and other people away during the application of the product until it is dry and there is no odor. Open windows and use fans to ventilate. Step away from odors if they become too strong. Disinfectant solution should always be prepared in well-ventilated areas. Wash your hands after using any disinfectant, including surface wipes. Keep lids tightly closed when not in use. Spills and accidents are more likely to happen when containers are open. Do not allow children to use disinfectant wipes. It's very important. Keep cleaning fluids and disinfectants out of the reach of children and pets. Throw away disposable items like gloves and masks if they are used during cleaning. Do not clean and reuse. Do not use disinfectant wipes to clean hands or as baby wipes. The minimum recommended personal protective equipment when disinfecting in non-healthcare settings is rubber gloves, waterproof aprons, and closed shoes. Eye protection and medical masks may also be needed to protect against chemicals in use or if there is a risk of splashing. Where cleaning and disinfection are not possible on a regular basis due to resource limitations, frequent hand washing and avoiding touching the face should be the primary prevention approaches to reduce any potential transmission associated with surface contamination. What is the guidance for the disinfection of outdoor spaces such as open markets, roads? This practice will be ineffective since the presence of dirt or rubbish, for example, inactivates the disinfectant, and manual cleaning to physically remove all matter is not feasible. This is even less effective on porous surfaces such as sidewalks and unpaved walkways. Even in the absence of dirt or rubbish, it is unlikely that chemical spraying would adequately cover surfaces, allowing the required contact time to inactivate pathogens. In outdoor spaces, large-scale spraying or fumigation in areas such as streets or open marketplaces for the COVID-19 virus or other pathogens is not recommended. Streets and sidewalks are not considered as routes of infection for COVID-19. Spraying disinfectants even outdoors can be noxious for people's health and cause eye, respiratory, or skin irritation or damage. Are public systems for disinfecting individuals as spraying by tunnel or chambers safe? The toxic effect of spraying with chemicals such as chlorine on individuals can lead to eye and skin irritation, bronchospasm due to inhalation, and potentially gastrointestinal effects such as nausea and vomiting. In addition to health safety concerns, the use of chlorine in large-scale spraying practices may prevent this resource from being used for important interventions, such as drinking water treatment and environmental disinfection of healthcare facilities. Spraying of individuals with disinfectants, such as in a tunnel, cabinet, or chamber, is not recommended under any circumstances. This practice could be physically and psychologically harmful and would not reduce an infected person's ability to spread the virus through droplets or contact. Even if someone who is infected with COVID-19 goes through a disinfection tunnel or chamber, as soon as they start speaking, coughing or sneezing, they can still spread the virus. Now, what are the recommended practices once back home after outdoor activities? While outside, people should always follow physical distancing measures, staying at least 1 meter from another person, perform hand hygiene by washing hands frequently with soap and water or using alcohol-based hand rub, follow good respiratory hygiene by covering your mouth and nose with your bent elbow or tissue when coughing or sneezing. Avoid touching your eyes, nose and mouth, and avoid crowded places. Thorough hand hygiene. Washing hands with soap and water or using alcohol-based hand gel should be performed before touching surfaces, items, pets, and people within the household environment. Are gloves recommended for the community in public spaces to protect against COVID-19? No, the use of gloves by the public in public spaces is not recommended or proven prevention measure. Wearing gloves in public spaces does not replace the need for hand hygiene, nor does it offer any additional measure of protection against the COVID-19 virus than hand hygiene. Gloves do not provide complete protection against hand contamination, as pathogens may gain access to the hands via small defects in gloves or by contamination of the hands during glove removal. People can also transfer pathogens from one surface to another by touching with gloved hands or even transfer pathogens to the mouth, nose, or eyes if they touch their face with gloved hands. How should I clean food items from the grocery store, for example, fruit, vegetables, or packaged items? There is no evidence to date of viruses that cause respiratory illnesses being transmitted via food or food packaging. Coronaviruses cannot multiply in food. They need an animal or human host to multiply. The COVID-19 virus is generally thought to be spread from person to person through respiratory droplets. Currently, there is no evidence to support transmission of the COVID-19 virus associated with food. Before preparing or eating food, it is important to always wash your hands with soap and water for at least 40 to 60 seconds. Regular food safety and handling guidance should be followed. For food service businesses, please see the guidance on COVID-19 and food safety available at WHO site. Now, the environmental impacts of these chemicals. The biggest impact of cleaning products and disinfectants come from the chemicals which they contain, and the packaging they come in is also an issue. The major concern is the chemicals which may pollute streams and rivers and may take a long time to degrade into harmless products. So, non-biodegradable and toxic chemicals. Some may not break down at all, but may persist in the environment like plastics. This may enter the food chain, being eaten by aquatic creatures and perhaps eventually by us. When consumed or absorbed through the skin, they may have harmful effects. Sorry, be toxic, cause cancer, or cause birth defects. Packaging. Many products come in aerosol cans containing a propellant gas, often chlorofluorocarbon (CFCs), which, although non-toxic and chemically inert, they damage the ozone layer. The Montreal Protocol set targets for reduction in CFC use, and most aerosols now use ozone-friendly propellants. But aerosol cans still contain a high proportion of packaging contents and are not easy to recycle. Many products come in plastic containers, which are light and durable and can be recycled in some areas, but otherwise are very slow to biodegrade. Even detergents often contain chemicals which may cause problems. Phosphates can cause eutrophication, upsetting the balance of nutrients in rivers and streams, while many products also contain enzymes, bleaches, brighteners, and perfumes. People with sensitive skin or allergies may find these substances aggravate their conditions. So there are various ways of environmentally evaluating disinfectants, and I was just thinking if we can start with environmental impact of materials. And so earlier we were doing impact assessment of activities, mainly industrial activities, but now there is a need for doing environmental impact assessment of even materials and the processes which make those materials. In the similar light, I saw a very interesting paper in Environmental Science and Technology, and which has done the life cycle environmental impacts of disinfection technology used in small drinking water systems. So, for educational institutes like Bangalore University and all are for their PhD topics, they can take such topics and do research on that. Actually, our PhD topics should be really not only environment friendly, they should be society friendly. They have so far been only academic oriented, and they may have done brilliant works in the pursuit of intellectual success. But as far as society and environment is concerned, I think many of these PhDs are not directly applicable. So the PhDs have to be converted into those technologies which can be directly applied to the society and that can be environmentally safe and useful. Sorry. Any material which is environmentally safe is actually going to be socially safe and finally mentally safe also. They're all interlinked. Then the important issue of rehabilitation of migrant laborers, because we have three honorable judges sitting with us today. They would be interested in this aspect because their main job is to deliver social and socio-legal service to the vulnerable section of the society. So some work which we did and some work which is being done in many states from where we can learn or we can activate or accelerate those activities which are going on in those states is very important at the moment. So the challenges before us today are the initiatives for providing solutions to employment, economy, health and safety issues faced by vulnerable communities. The initiative should focus on generating actionable schemes that should also include the solutions for problems related to water, sanitation, health, hygiene, education, and livelihoods for migrant families. The rehabilitation schemes for migrant workers through reskilling and upskilling so that the workers become re-employable and could generate basic amenities for their families. Developing schemes for environment-friendly employment generation through multiple collaboration. Environment-friendly employment generation, that's very important to remember. Through multiple collaborations, and we have the step which we have taken today probably would be a good step in the right direction. 116 districts, maximum from Bihar and UP, and they have mooted some plans, probably they have activated. How much success they have achieved, I really do not know, but these are some information available. So I'm just putting it forth before all of you, and this can be a topic for discussion amongst us to decide our future course of action on this. In all these 116 districts, Manrega farmers welfare schemes, food security schemes, PM Awas Yojana, Skill India schemes will be implemented in mission mode. That is what is reported in the newspapers. I really do not know how many of them have been activated. Bihar tops the number of districts selected. 32 districts of Bihar have been selected for the program, followed by 31 of UP, 24 districts of MP, 22 from Rajasthan, 4 from Odisha, and 3 from Jharkhand. The social welfare schemes and direct benefit schemes of the central government will be run in the mission mode. In addition, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan and other targeted government schemes will also be implemented. Now they are tying up, they have said they are tying up with industries, skill training, job schemes, plans the states are making for migrants. UP has already sent list of over 3.5 lakh workers to industry associations, while Jharkhand is planning an urban wage employment scheme. For the rural workforce, almost all states are leaning on the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantees Act, Manrega. The central government had informed the Supreme Court last week, that was 3rd June, that 1 crore migrant workers had reached their home states as of 3rd June. But for skilled and semi-skilled workers, the states have been tying up with industry bodies to employ them. The states are now devising rehabilitation strategies based on the number of migrant workers who have returned and the skills they have. With over 1 crore migrant workers reaching home from cities and most of them unwilling to leave their villages in the short term, many states have set the ball rolling to provide livelihoods to them. Odisha has made Manrega the fulcrum of its effort to rehabilitate migrants in rural areas. The state has launched a rupees 17,000 crore special livelihood intervention plan under which migrant workers will be given employment. So what is the need of the hour? The immediate focus should be ascertaining demand and imparting employer-led training for desired outcome and fast-tracking approval for additional courses besides connecting employers with potential workers through employment exchanges. There is a strong need for concentrating on reskilling as there would be many structural changes in the economy. A large and comprehensive reskilling program for those workers whose jobs may be at risk, including informal workers, workers in malls, cinemas that may not open for some more time, is needed to prepare them to work in other sectors, such as e-commerce. The government may opt for a blended model of learning, wherein the focus will be on scalability and quick turnaround time so that we have more skilled personnel available at a short notice. So what can be the methodology which we need to follow? List of the industries in the district, list of migrant workers, identification of the skills of migrant workers, matching the skills of the migrant workers with the requirement of industries, dealing with the reorientation of skills, relocation of industries, need for training the workers as per the requirements. Manpower, infrastructure, and environmental audit of the industries will become must under the present circumstances for every district. List of possible trainers has to be identified. Possibilities of involving and employing migrant workers in the monitoring and auditing process. We can even employ many of the migrant workers themselves in this environmental auditing and monitoring. Exploring the possibility of funding by the central government, state government, or private industries in terms of corporate social responsibility of different industries. Now, 2 immediate requirements which come before me. There can be many more which can be pointed out by through the panel of discussions. Small and large vehicles for the movement of trainees, trainers, and the related infrastructure. Establishment of training centers with proper and adequate infrastructure and attached guest houses in every district. Now, a brief just background of, because some people may not be aware of what is NALSA and what are SLSAs and DLSAs. So this chart gives the very important activity which they're carrying out. And when I developed friendship with Mr. Tanveer Ashraf was because of these juveniles. I know when you mentioned to me that he's doing something for skilling those juveniles, it was really an eye opener for me, and it is one of the most important activities which can be carried out under the present societal structure and socio-economic structure of our socio-legal structure of our country. So, National Legal Services Authority, it has got many focuses. Mainly, the main objective they have is they have to work for the vulnerable sections of the society. That is what is important. And there is a very useful newsletter which they are bringing out. I think with DLSA and NIRI's participation and collaboration, we can also bring out some pamphlets, manuals, and newsletters which can be useful in the present socio-environmental context. So there, that newsletter is Nyayadeep, the official newsletter of NALSA, is promoting a healthy working relationship between legal services functionaries throughout the country, and is proving to be immensely useful for exchange of views and sharing of ideas. Statistical information in regard to legal aid schemes and programs is also included in this newsletter, which is printed on quarterly basis. So this is how the NALSA was formed, and this is how NALSA and state level legal services authorities and district level legal services authorities work. This is the background on that. The innovative steps they have introduced in their functioning is a national plan of action to be executed by all state legal services authorities and calendar for activities. NALSA regulations on local adalat, NALSA regulations on free and competent legal services to transgender people, training of paralegal volunteers and engaging them in the front offices of legal services institutions and in village level legal aid clinics. Legal literacy programs, now we can make it enviro-legal literacy programs in different states and villages, in schools and colleges, with the assistance of the Department of Education in all states. School legal literacy clubs set up in all high schools under the state legal services authorities in order to create legal awareness, obedience to law, and to spread the philosophy of rule of law amongst the younger generation. And our institute can play a role in creating that in similar awareness regarding environmental issues, legal issues, and such other connected items. So these are some of the news items in collaboration with DALSA, the programs, the skill development program we held at Niri Nagpur, and these are some news items and photographs you can see, and some have already been covered. I'm thankful to Inayatullah ji, he has already done half of the job which I was required to do. So now the main issue before us is how to empower the poor, the farmers, the laborers, and downtrodden section of the society. There are about 40 crore unorganized section workers, 6 crore small traders, and 14 crore farmers. So what we can do is we create ease of doing business by bringing in transparency and speed in green clearances, use of technology in environmental management, opening of avenues for eco-friendly employment generation, aimed at sustainable development, pollution abatement, increase in green cover, and successful and efficient wildlife management. Now, what are the employment opportunities for migrant workers in general? So they have in agriculture level 14.29%, 35.08% in construction, and 35.26% in other. If you further break it up, it is in agriculture 23.6, mining and quarrying 1.3, manufacturing 16.8, electricity, gas and water supply 0.8, construction 14.6, trade, etc. So these are the breakups. The employment opportunities available, but whether they are really getting employment or not is a moot question. What we have mooted an idea now, the green human resource management. I mean, it is similar to green skill development programs of Government of India, and with green human resource management and employment generation in environmental sectors. Those sectors could be air pollution control, water pollution control, and solid waste management under the following categories. Compostable, biodegradable waste can be buried underground. plastic waste can be used for activities like road construction, etc. Even incineration of waste done in rural areas would be less risky due to easy dispersion and dilution in the open areas. See, plantation done in a wise manner, in a judicious manner. Plantation actually, greening the planet is not just planting trees. Afforestation programs have to be done very judiciously and based on ecological concepts. At the moment, we mean afforestation just in terms of planting trees wherever we want. Actually, that's not the way plantation should be done. We have to be very careful which plant to plant, where, in how many numbers, under which circumstances, and in association with other plants, because plants also have their families, communities, and societies which are overlooked. So we have to, while doing plantation schemes, while following plantation schemes, we should not lose sight of the ecological engineering or the ecological concepts behind them. Plants help in controlling all the three: air, water, and soil pollutants. Hence, they can be called complete environment treatment plants, CET. Normally, CETP connotation means common effluent treatment plants, but plants are, the real plants are complete environment treatment plants. So this is how this will help in controlling the injection of various chemicals and pollutants in the environment. The plants, the importance of trees, I think you can understand from this slide. It removes carbon dioxide, it removes many other air pollutants also, reduces erosion in the soil, prevents flooding, adds oxygen to the environment. It's very much good. Actually, it is a ventilator, natural ventilator for the environment, for which we are struggling to blow over at the moment. Cools our houses, so reduces the load on AC jobs, also reduces energy consumption, and in turn reduces the pollution generation by the energy consuming units. And it provides medicine also. Many of the medicines are based on the chemicals derived from plants. And this is the water treatment plant you can see. So this can be employed in rural areas, and these migrant workers can be employed in those sectors. So these are some slides which show how the environment gets polluted through various activities which we do on the earth. And I think by now many of us are familiar with this. There is waste in terms of air waste, water waste, and soil pollutants from manufacturing plants, runoff from agricultural pesticides. Then even rain passes through the air pollution, it produces things like acid rain. Then gasoline leaks also pollute the environment, animal waste and human waste, dead animals also. Drugs flushed into water supply, that's become a major concern these days, the antibiotics and their association with impact on microorganisms and their resistance. Then sewage and the waste runoff. Solid waste management and employment of opportunities, there are many at the level of source reduction, reuse, recycling, recovery, and disposal. And we can follow the concepts of integrated waste management there. For example, you see plastics and road construction, employment opportunities for migrant labor. There's so many. How plastic is used for roads. The plastic waste plant cleans raw plastic and shreds it into smaller pieces. The shredded plastic is transported to a hot mix plant where it is sprinkled over heated stone chips. This mix is combined with tar and coal and used to build roads. A road was built using plastic waste in Noida last year. 8 tons of shredded plastic waste is needed to build a 6-kilometer, 12 feet wide road and 800 km per hour processing capacity of the Begunpur plant. So we need, I think the DLSs, various DLSs need to make an enviro legal team with the following constitution. This can be expanded as the members feel. It should have a chief mentor, chief advisor, chief NGO coordinator, then representatives from DLSA for legal issues, representatives from district administration for administrative issues, representative from police departments, because many safety issues are involved because it requires interstate travel, inter-district travel, and so many other issues related with migration and movement of people, district planning officer and block development officer. This is the minimum I have suggested, but it can be expanded further to members' fee. financing of the scheme. It can be financed through industries through their corporate social responsibility. I think this can be recommended to our legal authorities and to the industries that their corporate social responsibility should be so oriented, which result in environment friendly employment. So it saves our environment also and saves our economy also because it provides the employment. Then railways have huge amount of land and they have something called environmental funds available. Probably I heard we had some sessions with railway authorities in Nagpur, the PRMs of Central Railway and Southeastern Railway, and we found out through those discussions that they have a lot of funds available in the environmental heads, which probably is not utilized. Actually, we were to initiate some collaboration with railway. Suddenly this corona problem came, so we got stuck and then the priorities country over are different. So we do not know how we will strike that collaborations. But if we have some Supreme Court, High Court, and our DLSA's interventions, probably we will be able to make some important. We will be able to take some important steps in that direction. And there are various issues related to changes in rules and regulations. You know, when I was doing some going through city, sometimes I found that so many vacant and lands, so many idle lands are lying. And I think they are lying in Nagpur and they must be lying in other cities also. These plots which are lying idle can be used as environmental sinks for pollutants. And they instead of paying tax in terms of money, they should pay tax in terms of ecological tax. Like they can plant, as long as they're lying idle, they can plant medicinal plants, herbs and shrubs, which they don't require forestry clearance for uprooting also when it's required to be uprooted. And they will all also help in remediating air, water and soil pollution. Long time back, we had mooted an idea of instead of gross domestic product, the GDP, we had mooted an idea of gross ecological product. Actually, nothing of economy is not dependent on ecology. Everything we get, even money, is manufactured through trees only. The trees, from trees we get paper and then money. Then we create rupees, dollars, wherever, and we put some stamp, dies on different people, and then we have rupees. So even money is created or manufactured based on ecology. So basically, our gross domestic product is totally dependent on gross ecological product. And if we follow that concept, it will help the society in terms of environmental preservation as well as in economic upliftment also. There are large tracts of vacant land with central ministries, especially Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Civil Aviation. It is observed that significant quantum of land has remained idle and become unproductive in the absence of proper land resource management. Special economic zones also face similar fate, barring a few majority of such centers remain unoccupied. There is a need to evaluate the land use pattern of central ministries and departments. Identification of idle land under these ministries should be done quickly to create land banks. A realistic assessment of quantum of surplus land with various CPSUs would need to be worked out by the Department of Public Enterprises. It is desirable to start stock taking of land that is locked up with closed sick PSUs. It is reported, sir. It is reported that the government will first use unutilized land in existing industrial parks. A committee under chairmanship of CEO Niti Aayog is now working out details of the master plan. The Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion is planning to sell up to 60,000 acres of idle salt land in various parts of the country to CPSUs, states at market rates. The situation in the states is no different. It is reported that 5 major states, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, UP, Rajasthan, and Gujarat, acquired 5,72,793 acres in their industrialization drive. But of this, 2,55,471 acres, around 45%, have not been allotted to any industrial projects. Even in Gujarat, billed as India's premier destination, only 50% land has been allotted. Maharashtra, for instance, despite its land bank of 1 lakh acres of land, was in the midst of acquiring land for its ambitious Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor. In Uttar Pradesh, UPI DGC has reported of its land lying vacant. Andhra Pradesh Industrial Infrastructure Corporation had 1,39,000 acres of land, of which 50,000 acres were not allotted, and 23,000 acres from the allotted land were unused. There is an urgent need for a concerted effort of land owning agencies to tap into vacant and unproductive land. The vast amount of unproductive industrial land can be absorbed by better managing the existing land resources, develop land banks faster, and tighter monitoring. So this is all. I don't know how much more time do I have. Basically, the main crux of my presentation is over. There are certain other slides which may be interesting to you. I will just slide through them, and if you find we can open up for discussion, then we will do that. I think majority of it is covered. This is what I wanted to say. All the ecological units have some monetary values, and when we, instead of GDP, gross domestic product, if we talk of gross ecological product, it will make a better sense, because not only economy, it will preserve our ecology also. So the possible solutions are monitoring, modeling, and management based on common man's understanding. And we have to, this is a curve, ecological footprint curve, and human development index on the x-axis. And see, as the human development index rises, the ecological footprint also rises. Now we have to develop those kind of plans which work in this square, which is known as the sustainable development quadrant. When the human development index is also more, and ecological footprint is also less. Now you can see that just by increasing GDP, we do not get anywhere, because you see these countries, they have increased their GDP, and after a level, the development index or human development index or life expectancy, it plateaus out. More than that, as you increase the GDP, does not necessarily increase the development of the country. So I have some slides on how the EIAs can be modified and how NGTs can look into those issues, and environmental impact issues, how we can do processes, specific environmental auditing, maybe in some future lecture I will cover. There was an interesting paper I published recently looking at climate change and its socio-economic and ecological implications through biogeochemical cycle lens and Adam and Eve analysis. Adam is a creation of data and modulation, and Eve is environmentally viable engineering estimates. And even we can generate district level ecosystem health cards, and where the migrant laborers can be given employment. So these are some of, or we have already started this exercise, although not sponsored by any agency. On our own, we have taken up this exercise. And we have, for Krishna Basin, we have done some estimates in terms of the carbon, in the terms of pollution sequestration potential or mitigation potential, and the pollution generation potential. And we have matched. The green is for sequestration and the red is for generation. Wherever the green is higher than red, the situation is better, the carrying capacity is better. It is basically an exercise in the area of estimating carrying capacity. So sustainability creates and maintains the conditions under which humans and nature can exist in productive harmony. That balance has got broken at the moment, you can see in terms of COVID-19. And Ban Ki-moon says sustainable development and climate change are two sides of the same coin. So we actually don't need to take two different routes for doing that. I think if we combine one, that will solve the other one automatically. So then there are various issues under which the employment can be offered to our downtrodden and vulnerable communities. And these are some of the newspaper clippings of the training programs we did at Giri premises in association with DLSA Nagpur and our International Skill Development Society run by Mr. Tanveer Ashraf Khan. So there were some interesting slides. I think I will skip them for a moment. So thank you very much. I think this would be enough for today, and I don't want you people to become restless. We saw so many slides are still remaining. We will cover it in future course of action. Maybe coronavirus problem dies, so I will come to Bangalore and do this exercise. So thank you very much.